Welcome to the Arabian Traveler Poetry. This is your host, Mohammed Bader, aka the Arabian Traveler, Al Musafir Al Arabi. With me today is Zainab Ladha. Zainab is the author of the book, The Unsolicited Thoughts. Good morning, Zainab. I'm just welcome.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Can you just give us a little bit of a background about who is Zainab? And
Of course. My name is Zainab. I am 19 years old, and I am an author who is based in Doha, but originally from Canada. I wrote this book at a point in my life where I was really struggling, and this book was an outlet for me to process my emotions, and it felt like a comforting friend. So I decided to publish it and make it available to the public. So if someone is going through something similar, so they can find their comfort and their solace in my poetry. Hopefully.
it's great, yeah. And I've taken a look at it, and it's got like wonderful illustrations and just a very wonderful book, and got wonderful poems in it. Can you
Thank you so much.
tell me a little bit about, uh, just you as an author? It sounds like when you wrote this book, you were experiencing loss. And can you tell us a little bit more on that? And then I'd like for you to just maybe tell us a little bit more about the process of how you went about writing it, and hopefully read us a poem from it.
Of course. So it actually all started during COVID, and I was only, I think, 13 at that time. And of course, like it was extremely uncertain and it was extremely lonely. And I personally also have a really hard time opening up to people. It's a repeated theme within my book as well. So it was really difficult for me to handle all of that and to cope with it. And so I started to write it, and it was never even meant to be anything concrete. It was just a hobby, it was just an outlet for my emotions. But then eventually I started realizing that, okay, you know, what I'm writing it's actually pretty good. And when I would be talking to my friends, they would sometimes mention something that they're going through. So one example that comes to mind was one of my friends told me that she's feeling really insecure about herself and her appearance. So I told her, hey, I actually wrote something about that, and I made her read it. And she was in awe, and she was telling me, Zainab, your work is incredible. It makes me feel so good. You should write a book. And when she said that, that is when it actually hit me. Okay, this could be something more. But I kept pushing the idea down because this book is so raw, it's so original, and it truly does not have any filters on. So when I thought about publishing it, it was always really scary because it felt like opening up my heart to people. But I guess that is what writing poetry is. It's opening up your heart in the hopes that you connect with people. But eventually, I built up the courage and I started working on publishing it in September 2024. And it was a very lengthy process, especially since I'm an indie author. So I had to do the editing and the formatting and all of the illustrations, etc., for my book. But eventually, it ended up being exactly what I wanted. And I've written every single word with so much thought. I've made every single illustration with so much meaning behind it that anyone who opens it, they can just see that my entire heart was poured into it. And my book contains 50 poetry pieces and 50 illustrations alongside it. So and it's even in the description. The feeling that it's supposed to convey is like it's a museum of thoughts and art gallery of emotions. So you see the image, you feel something, and then you read the adjoining poetry, and it's supposed to feel like a comforting friend, and it's supposed to feel like a warm hug.
That is amazing. Thank you for being vulnerable and raw, and let us know. That's a quite a great insight that you have. Is there a poem you'd like to read for us, and tell us about like what prompted you to write it? And
Of course, it's number 26 in my book. It's called Dear Little One. It goes about, Dear little one, I miss you. I miss the way my heart was at peace. I miss the way that I could eat without feeling guilty, without worrying about calorie counts, and most of all, without stressing over the criticism and comments about my weight. Dear little one, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I couldn't protect your innocence. I'm sorry that I let you go. I'm sorry that I thought growing up meant outgrowing your light up shoes and princess gowns. But how could I have known that those elements are a part of who you are, a part which I should have never wished to forgo? Dear little one, please forgive me. Please forgive me for letting you get bullied and treated like an object. I didn't know how to stand up to people back then, nor did I know how to seek help. I hope I can heal your wounds someday, for I am the only one who knows how deep they are. Dear little one, I envy you. I envy the way you held your head up high and how your shoulders weren't always hunched with tension. I envy the fact that stress was a foreign concept that you truly never encountered. I envy your beauty, for it was so soft and original, whilst I now look like a clone of all of the others, destined to mimic instead of stand out. Dear little one, I hate you. I hate how small I feel compared to you. I hate how no matter how much I try to be like you, I somehow always fall short. I hate how you were loved for who you were, whereas I have always been forced to change. Most of all, I hate you for not clinging on to me any longer. Dear little one, you confuse me. How could you, with all of your passion and fire, fall short in the race of life? How could someone so beautiful be considered ugly? How could you have been disliked when you brought so much light and happiness into this world? Dear little one, I have so many questions to ask you. Why was this world so cruel to you? Why couldn't you protect yourself? Why couldn't I protect you? Why do you feel so foreign when you form part of me? Dear little one, thank you. Thank you for holding on to life so I can live today. Thank you for fighting through the darkest times so I can experience light today. Thank you for being the one that I dedicate my life to. Thank you for everything.
Wow.
So,
Was that like kind of a comforting
it's sort
person
of
for you?
like, I would say it's sort of like a letter to my younger self. And there's this repeated thought that goes in my mind where I feel that I'm a completely different entity from my past selves. I don't know if there's a technical term for that, but that's how I feel. And I've always been, ever since I was a child, I was labeled as a gifted child. So, my past self was, it was like everyone viewed her as perfection and everyone envied her. But now, when I'm older, I realize that, okay, I'm not that perfect. I'm nowhere near. So when all of that, I guess, appreciation and praise falls to the ground, that's what this is about. And it's sort of like trying to connect with my younger self while still being really confused about everything that happened, even though I was the one that was going through it. It's complex. It's really
Yeah, yeah,
complex,
yeah.
but it's supposed to just, I guess, to also some extent cover over imposter syndrome and trying to process your past while still being confused about it.
Yeah. Well, tell me about, you said you were considered gifted. Can you tell me a little bit more on that? I've done some work on giftedness, and I'm kind of curious about like what was it like for you when
Um, it was because I was always really creative, so you could see paintings all around my room. You could see I still do that sometimes. I make woodwork, I craft things. So everyone used to think, wow, she's really talented. But at the same time, I was always praise be to God, very good at studies. So it was like, okay, she's that. She's also incredibly talented at studies. She's also really creative. She's really friendly. She's really talkative. She can public speak. So it was like, okay, she's the whole package. But it's just what an outward appearance is like when you come to the reality of it. No one's perfect, or no one's has that perfect life. But again, it's just outwardly appearance versus what someone is going through internally.
yeah, and I believe you've mentioned that you either like to paint or bake. Um,
Yes, both.
okay,
And also woodwork. So I
woodwork.
do have a diverse set of hobbies, but poetry is definitely at the top of the list.
Yeah, and what are you hoping to, are you like wanting to continue to study, or are you just, what's your plans to the future?
So I currently am pursuing a master's in finance,
Hmm.
so hopefully going to continue down that route. But I do definitely want to have writing as more than just a hobby, so I want to develop it into a career. And for me, it's never really about the fame or the money or the popularity. For me, I just want to connect with genuine readers who love poetry as much as I do and who I can help through my work. Because there's no point of it staying in my laptop and never seeing the light of day if it doesn't help anybody.
Yeah.
So.
Now, I mean, you wait a minute. You said you're pursuing a master's in finance,
Yes, I am pursuing a master's in finance. Yes.
but you're only 19, you said.
Yes. Okay, that's that's a completely different story. So I actually dropped out of high school after grade 11,
Uh-huh.
and I've been self-studying for the past 3 years. So I finished my bachelor's in March this year, and now I'm in the second semester of my master's degree. So I self-study. I don't go to school. I don't go to college. It's just me and my laptop and in the four walls of my room.
Oh, okay. Wow, that is totally gifted and talented.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
well, way to go. Um, do you wanna pick another poem to read and tell us a little bit about it?
Sure, of course. There are too many that I really love, so it's really hard. But I think I'll choose this one. Okay, so it's called The Perfectionist. It's number 20. As a child, I used to view imperfection as a flaw, and over time, that mindset developed into a claw. It squeezed itself within me and left scars that would leave anybody in awe, not because of their beauty, but because I was able to survive without displaying myself as ever so gloomy. It was as if their words of encouragement and comfort flew right through me, for I was enslaved by the perfection that drew me closer to itself with each passing day. Worst of all, this all consuming urge was here to stay, doing whatever was in its power to make me its prey. I tried to make this overwhelming sensation go away, but it's not like you can make your emotions stop midway. So I surrendered and let it have its way. The smile crown with which I used to walk around town turned into a frown, and my light lost all of its might, till finally I one day almost drowned in my pursuit of perfection. But even this breakdown was not enough to release me from its trap, for the claws were still in place, wounding me as time passed. I tried to find a reason within my past as to why I was like this, but there were no answers, for the fear of imperfection was a part of me since my birth. But why must it decide my worth? Why must I fight with the droplets to keep swimming? Why do I feel my light slowly dimming? Yet, even after all of this contemplation, I find myself still at the beginning, hoping that this feeling would stop imprinting itself onto my soul. All I want is to feel whole and be in control. I don't know what the role of it is in my being, what is its meaning, but it's not like I have any other option other than agreeing. All I want to do is experience the feeling of when it finally decides to leave, how freeing it must feel that nothing influences your well being. I can hear myself internally screaming, for these wounds have started bleeding. Yet, even under excruciating pain, I am concerned with the art of competing. That's the second one.
Mm, can you tell us a little bit about, what prompted you to write that
Uh,
and what's
Of
it?
course. So it's about the notion of toxic perfectionism, which unfortunately I am a very big victim of. So it's sort of like that you're damaged, you're on the floor, you're hurting, but even under all of that, your emotions, your feelings, what you want for yourself, it's all secondary, and your pursuit of perfection is always primary. So it's sort of like how the I've sort of you could say symbolized the idea of perfection and the power that it holds over me through the claws, and these claws are wounding me as I go along. And it's the last line, even under excruciating pain, I'm concerned with the art of competing, because it's supposed to symbolize that these claws, they're hurting me and bleeding, I'm on the floor, but that my feelings and what I want is always going to be second to the pursuit of perfection. That's a little bit of what it's about.
And how does that feel to you? Like, what's it like to be writing and talking about that?
It obviously feels really vulnerable again because it literally feels like I'm putting a piece of my heart out there, because these are truly every single one of these pieces, they are based on real life experiences that I've had, and it's built up on years of my emotions being repressed within me. And so when I write something like this, it's not only supposed to be an outlet for me, but it's also supposed to allow me to empathize with other people and for people to understand that just because someone may appear as a certain perfect persona, they do have their own set of struggles. And it also, I feel, helps me to humanize other people, because sometimes when we see people who have everything in their life sorted out, you idealize them and they're like a trophy for you that, oh, I want to be like this person. But they do have their own set of struggles. And it also keeps me grounded knowing that just because things appear a certain way, that doesn't need to be like that. So I guess the idea of toxic perfectionism, it's not really based on the individual's feelings. It's more so about what they've been taught growing up and the things that they've been hearing. So usually, since in like usually for people that I feel like people have a lot more knowledge about this stuff nowadays, but when I was growing up we were always told that, okay, you cannot pursue anything that's creative, or you cannot go for anything that's unorthodox. You have to stick to the classical things, you have to study, you have to make a name for yourself. And eventually, what that does, it puts a lot of pressure on children. It ends up making them obsessed with getting the highest mark, or fitting into a criteria. And eventually, at least for me, what has happened is that I cling on to this idea of perfectionism. And if I'm not perfect, then I'm not enough. Even, unfortunately, even some of my greatest achievements have felt more like relief. I feel than me feeling proud of my achievements. It's like, okay, thank God, I did it. Otherwise, I don't know what would have happened. So it's just, I guess, an outlet for me to make people know what I go through.
Yeah, well, thank you for using yourself and vulnerability to communicate that deep emotion. I certainly understand that. Do you have any advice for any young authors or just even just individuals, people your age, about like how to navigate through these thoughts and ideas of uh, being perfect?
I would say for authors, we particularly don't consider our work that good. Like, I think every single author that I've talked to, we always find even the slightest of imperfections within our work to overshadow all of its beauty. So I think it's difficult, but if you don't let go of that perfectionism, you can never truly publish something. You can never get it out there because there's always going to be something you can improve. Your work is never going to be ready. You're never going to feel ready. So I would say that when you're writing your book, make it a clear slate. Don't put any of your, I would say, restrictions or boundaries onto it. Treat it as a fresh canvas. Use your paint, use your words, and create something that's magical. And then you can later on structure it. You can later on make it into something worth publishing. But when you're writing something, make it as raw and as real as it can be. And for people my age, I would say that if you are going through toxic perfectionism, then obviously one sort of way is for you to talk to people and let it out. Another, I would say, is to identify who you are as an individual and to not let other people define who you are. It's not easy at all, but it does help. And you should know what you want, and you should be able to be brave and independent enough to go after what you want. Because if you're not, then people are going to walk all over you. So I would say that be who you are without the fear that you're going to disappoint other people, because you live for yourself. You're never going to be able to satisfy every single person out there, unfortunately. So I guess it also has a little bit of an element of people pleasing in there. But overall, I would say be empathetic, be kind, and learn that you are more than just a label, a criteria, or the expectations that were built upon you.
Well, that's really excellent. Do you can you tell us just if you want your audience to or our audience to get in touch with you, how do they get a hold of you? How do they find your book?
Of course. So I have two social media accounts, one on TikTok and one on Instagram. They're both Zanab Ladha 18. So that is ZAINABLADHA 18. And then if you want to purchase my book, it's available on all digital storefronts. So that's Apple, Amazon, Kobo, Barnes and Noble. And you can either purchase the paperback or the ebook. It's probably going to be anywhere you search it up because I've done wide distribution. So you can purchase it, you can read it, and of course, leave a review so I can know what you think about it.
That's excellent. Well, thank you so much. You've been listening to Zainab Ladha, amazing author. And I wanted to, I'd love to look at your art. I think would be good to have, if you're able to send me uh, maybe a picture of one of your art, we can put that as a cover of this podcast if you like.
Of course, that would
Thank
be
you.
amazing.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
thank you.
I'll be sure to send it over to you.
And thank you so much for
Thank you so much.
doing